Good evening, you're watching Rebooting India. I'm Shweta Rajpal Kohli. It's a show that really talks about the politics of the economy. Let's bring you up to speed with what you can expect on the show today. Petroleum Minister Veerappa Moily talks about fuel austerity, says no to diesel hike but kicks in a fuel conservation drive to save $5 billion. Also, Yashwant Sinha tells NDTV the BJP will not allow FDI in multi-brand retail after it comes to power. Days after uproar over petroleum minister's reported proposed night curfew on petrol pumps to check the conservation of fuel, the oil minister has now come out with a list of austerity measures. First saying that there are no plans for a diesel price hike. So even though expectations were building up that the government may bite the bullet and finally hike the price of diesel, it looks like politics has come in the way, and with assembly elections round the corner, the government has no proposal to hike diesel prices. He has meanwhile urged chief ministers, major PSU heads and heads of different central ministries to declare one day of the week as a bus day, during which all may be encouraged to use only public transport for their daily commute. Also, he has requested the Urban Development Ministry to introduce a free cycle scheme in select cities with funding support for oil firms, and has also written to the Minister of Personnel to consider staggered office timings for government offices to ensure that there is some sort of decongestion of traffic there on the roads. That apart, and be prepared for a major awareness campaign on how you can save fuel, whether it's by maintaining your vehicles better or carpooling for offices and schools, or even saving on your cooking gas. And that major campaign expected to kick off by the 1st of October. These measures, the government hopes, will help save as much as $5 billion. But given that all this is optional, we'll have to see how much of it really translates into actual savings.
There's no telling if Mayor Bloomberg was the inspiration behind the government's latest austerity drive. But we can tell you for sure, New Delhi is no New York.
To introduce the habit of going by cycle instead of going by car or any other vehicle, they can utilize the public service methods like the buses.
In peak office hours, forget finding a seat, even standing in a bus is difficult. But the government has now come up with new austerity measures, and it wants to do just that. Take a bus to work at least once a week. But the question is, will the same rules apply to chief ministers and other PSU heads? And who's taking up the government on that offer? Though the government says these measures are not mandatory, from the opposition to the common man, many are asking, why can't the government lead by example?
ये तो सही है, वैसे करना भी चाहिए, ऐसे करना चाहिए, लेकिन करता तो कोई नहीं है, कोई नहीं करेगा।
अगर आदमी ऑफिस के लिए जा रहा है तो साइकिल से क्या ऑफिस टाइम पकड़ में आ जाएगा?
So a government which has scammed, which has taken away the wealth, is giving lessons to a common man to travel how? I think it's a mockery, and if it is a mockery, then I think such measures should start either from the Prime Minister's own office or the UPA chairperson, and if not her, then at least her son. They should be cycling around the city.
Though many agree that there has to be a solution to the problem of our rising oil import costs, not many seem convinced this is the best way to tackle it. In New Delhi, with Shweta Rajpal Kohli, Ketki Angre for NDTV.
Days after Narendra Modi was nominated the BJP's prime ministerial candidate, the BJP has once again reiterated its position that it will reverse the decision to allow FDI in multi-brand retail if it comes to power. In an exclusive interview to NDTV, senior leader of the party, Yashwant Sinha, says the BJP does not want foreign retail majors like Walmart to come into the country. And while it will encourage FDI, multi-brand retail can fall aside. It's been a year since the government allowed foreign supermarket chains to invest in India, but overseas retailers say they're still awaiting clarity as there are fears of the policy being reversed post-2014. Talking about reforms and what we're likely to see if the BJP comes to power, are we going to see the BJP taking forward the reform agenda? Because we got very confusing signals when the UPA was in power, because the BJP continuously opposed just about every reform measure that was brought into place by UPA.
This is absolutely wrong. Who supported the introduction of the pension bill in Parliament? If we had not voted with the government, this bill would not even have been introduced. between 2005 and 2009.
What about FDI?
Why didn't they bring it?
Okay.
Go back and ask them.
What about FDI and multi-brand retail?
No, we are opposed to it. It's a stated, principled position that we have taken.
And despite the fact that you now have a very pro-growth prime ministerial candidate, Mr. Modi, you are willing to tell foreign investors that you will not support FDI and multi-brand retail. Does that not send out terrible signals to foreign investors?
Absolutely not. The point I'm making is the foreign investor is looking for a transparent regime. You tell him this is on, this is off.
So FDI and multi-brand retail is off if the BJP comes to power.
Off.
But here the UPA government is trying to bring in large players, be it the Walmarts of the world.
No, we don't want Walmarts. We want a Rediwala in Noida not to lose his job.
So what you're saying is if the BJP comes to power, FDI and multi-brand retail...
But what I am saying is that we will encourage FDI. There are many sectors where FDI can be encouraged. We'll encourage FDI. We'll be pro-industry. We'll be pro-agriculture. We'll have a holistic policy which will bring growth and stability to the economy, as we did when we were in power. Compare our track record of those 6 years and with any period in India's economic history, and I am saying it with the greatest confidence that our reforms will stand up to any period of the Congress party's.
So take us
these people are not reformists. You are completely mistaken. They are not reformists. Even Dr. Manmohan Singh is not a reformer. He is a pretender. You don't have to go with a begging bowl asking for the kindness of strangers in foreign lands. Please come and invest in India. Nobody is interested in investing in India today because they all feel that the India growth story is over.
But part of the reason also, part of the blame also lies with the opposition
for not... Of course it does, because we are in governance.
So for not allowing the government to bring in place...
What do you mean not allowing the government?
So for instance,
I mean, this is the most bogus argument that I've ever heard in my life.
Sending confusing signals to a foreign investor who may be looking at investing in multi-brand retail today by saying that you don't want a Walmart.
Is that Walmart and multi-brand retail is the only area where we can get
But it's
investment?
all about sentiment and also sending the right signals to the foreign investor community.
We are not in favor of foreign investment, multi-brand retail, and I can assure you today in this interview that after we come into power, we'll have lots of foreign investment coming in areas where we need foreign investment and where we'll permit foreign investment. Multi-brand retail can fall aside.
So you believe that you will be able to convince foreign investors that even if you do not allow multi-brand retail...
We will create the conditions where they will find it attractive to come to India, where their investments will be safe and they'll be able to make more profit than they do in China.
And I spoke earlier with Commerce and Industry Minister Anand Sharma on his views and what the government feels about the BJP stand. Will it actually scare away foreign investors? Mr. Sharma, in the past, the BJP has said that they will reverse the decision for FDI and multi-brand retail. I'm sure you're in talks with a lot of foreign players, wooing them, trying to get them to come and invest in India. Do these concerns come up in your conversations with large retail players?
Yes, they do. They do. Because BJP is not only the partisan politics or the atmosphere which, as I mentioned, vitiated, the investment climate as such has been disturbed to a large extent by the BJP's politics, and they are scaring away investors from India. It's for the people to judge, for the industry to judge.
At the same time, there are many within the industry who actually back Mr. Narendra Modi, especially the Gujarat model of growth. And with him now as the prime ministerial candidate, the BJP says that they can create a positive environment for bringing in foreign investment, even if multi-brand retail is left out.
Well, Mr. Narendra Modi is boastful. He makes tall claims which are utterly false. First of all, which Gujarat model of development I would like to point out. Do you know, when Mr. Narendra Modi took over, Gujarat's debt, the government's debt, was 30,000 odd crores, which has risen now to 1,33,000 crores is the public debt. Gujarat has become, under Narendra Modi, the third most indebted state in the country. That is a fact. Number two, when you look at the malnutrition deaths, they are Gujarat tops. When you look at the 10 big states, Gujarat tops, 44 out of 1,000. When you talk of dropouts from school, Gujarat tops 27 out of 1,000. These are the facts which cannot be controverted or denied by Narendra Modi or BJP. Now when it comes to FDI, every time there is this vibrant Gujarat conclave, Narendra Modi with a flair announces that 12 lakh crores or 15 lakh crores of FDI has been committed. But when you look at the numbers, RBI has published data. Between the year 2000 and 2013, India has received FDI to the tune of 296 billion US dollars, out of which more than 272 billion US dollars has come during UPA 1 and UPA 2. UPA 2 more. Even now we are receiving good FDI, whether it was last year or the previous years, in a difficult global economic climate. RBI has the published data of all the states where RBI offices are there. Now the highest recipient of FDI in India during this period is Mumbai, Maharashtra, that is 66 billion US dollars. Then you have Delhi, but that also is for the adjacent Haryana and UP regions, that is 36 billion US dollars. Then you have Tamil Nadu, then you have Karnataka, Andhra. So after that comes Gujarat. So I have to ask BJP. I know that Narendra Modi has no comprehension of economic policies, of economy, but I am sure that he knows numbers which a primary school student knows, that number 8 billion is not higher than 66 billion or 36 billion.